Also fortunate enough to put in some training rooms. I think this will be not only a tremendous asset for us, but also for our partner agencies throughout the county. Before talking too much about the facility and what it'll mean for us, a few people that I would like to thank for the work with this and the support of it. First, the County Executive McMahon and the Legislature for their belief in our mission and the support of this initiative. Although we received some federal funding for the renovations that have occurred, the renovations would not have been possible without significant local support. They have shown support since the inception of this idea for us. I'd also like to thank facilities management, specifically Chris Hunt and Amanda Oberlander, who had spent a year and a half making my ideas and dealing with me, making that a reality and something that we can all really be proud of. And last but certainly not least, the emergency management team that we have. They work tirelessly to better prepare our community for emergencies impacting us, and also our response, working nights, weekends, holidays, taking time away from their families when they're needed most to support our community. This new facility allows us to keep all of our assets in a single location, puts us in a more centralized location to improve responses and provide additional opportunities to better coordinate with other agencies and organizations. We've been able to add 2 new training rooms that will allow us to bring new training opportunities to support public safety agencies throughout the community. We've already seen a significant interest in their use, and our goal is to make this a very busy place to make the most impact on our community. However, what we are most excited about is our new Emergency Operations Center where we are now. This expanded space will provide us additional capabilities and allow us to bring in additional organizations into our emergency preparedness efforts and response, as we've added positions and be able to better provide work environment for everyone involved. It provides a better space to maintain situational awareness and collaborate with entities to support communities across the county. This space will not only be used to prepare for and respond to emergencies, but will be used as a space to prepare for and respond to special events as well. I think it's very fitting that this, what I consider a once-in-a-career opportunity to take on a project like this and work with so many people, is being open just in time for what is once-in-a-lifetime experience here in our community with the solar eclipse coming next Monday. With that, I'd like to turn it over to County Executive Mann to talk a little bit more about the solar eclipse.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody. For those of you in the media who've been around for a little bit, you remember when we were talking about emergency operations centers, what it was like during the pandemic, and these are better gigs. These are a lot better. I want to thank our legislators. We have Legislator Olson with us. We have Legislator Gunn up in her district, and Legislator Romeo as well. Our team from the County Executive's Office, Ann Rooney overseeing this. Also our team in emergency management with Jeff Van Beveren, Jerry Payne, Chelsea Clark, Bob Whitehead, Melissa Ebend, Dale Gillette, and Dina Donnelly. And then I want to thank all of our deputy coordinators and our fire investigators as well who are here. This is great. And I do want to thank, Dan referenced some of our federal support we had with this. Congressman Kako helped secure resources for this, and Congressman Williams has helped secure resources for some of our equipment as well. But overall, it's important, and one of the things we learned during the pandemic when you have to respond to an emergency day in and day out was the fact that everything was so concentrated with all of our law enforcement partners, essentially our hospitals, and our emergency operations center. There's value in de-densifying that when you think about responding to emergencies. So this building was a building that the county actually owned. We just had it under a long-term lease. Was it with the Department of Defense, the reserves. And so they no longer needed it. We learned, actually I learned when I was a county executive that we owned this. And we looked at this as a potential perfect fit to be able to respond, still in the middle of our county, but to be able to really manage and coordinate events. And speaking of that, Dan talked about the eclipse for tomorrow. Once in a lifetime for some of you. Hopefully I plan on being alive 100 years from now when this might happen again. But certainly we're excited about what this is, and wanted to talk about it briefly and give certainly some guidance with what we know. First, this will be open. The county EOC will be opened. It will be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It may go longer depending on what current conditions are in the community. It's going to be staffed by our emergency management, fire, and EMS, our Department of Transportation, County 911, the Sheriff's Department, Syracuse Fire, Syracuse Police, New York State Troopers, New York State Department of Transportation, Centro, and the National Weather Service. What do we know about the eclipse? Many of you may know more than us right now with your weather staff, but it looks like the eclipse will begin at 2:09 p.m. We will have total eclipse now, it looks like, for around 2 minutes, maybe a little bit more, at 3:23 to 3:25, and the eclipse event will end at 4:35 as of now. The Onondaga schools are on a modified schedule. Some have staff only, some have closed, some have half days. We do know that hotel occupancy in the community on Sunday and Monday was extremely high. Whether or not these are all visitors that are going to stay in our community or go north where you will have a longer eclipse viewing period, we do not know the answer to that. Biggest concerns right now are traffic. So you keep that in mind when you're thinking about your own travel schedules related to the eclipse on Monday. Give yourself more time to get places, and understand during the actual eclipse, probably not the greatest time to travel unless you absolutely have to. We are monitoring events, and we certainly are monitoring viewing parties that are throughout the county. There are viewing parties that are throughout. Most of those parties will be somewhat managed, so that's less of a concern for us than certainly some of the more casual viewing opportunities that could happen and impact the community. Everything is weather dependent. Good clear skies certainly could increase visitors. Cloudy skies could reduce the visitors. There's some speculation that people who have hotel rooms here may have booked them in multiple cities, so that they may be actually hopping to communities where they have the best ability to view the eclipse. And certainly we talked about it. Our friends to the north, Oswego County, Jefferson County, they're likely going to get full eclipse from 3 to 3.5 minutes. To the west, you might see that being even better in the Buffalo area. But there is an expectation that 81 will have significant traffic issues. And so, again, if you're going to view the eclipse and you're going somewhere other than your home, you need to anticipate that traffic will be an issue. And so what are some of the things we can all prepare for? Please do not look directly at the sun. All eclipse glasses should be certified. So please, if you have the glasses, make sure that they are certified, or else they probably won't do what you think they're going to do for you. Come early, stay late, expect heavy traffic. Ensure your vehicle has gas, a full tank of gas. As we said, there could be a situation where you're stuck in traffic for a period of time. That's not what the community needs, is to have you run out of gas. Certainly you might want to consider some of the preparation that you have during storms, certainly water and food as well. Do not stop along roadways. Only observe the eclipse in designated areas. We ask that everybody in the community does that as well. But it is a time, it is history, it is exciting. It is also my mom's birthday, so happy birthday, Mom, in advance. We encourage everybody to enjoy it and enjoy it safely, but recognize that if you're going to be out in the public outside of your own home, there is a level of risk, and there is unpredictable circumstances right now. We don't know how many more people will be in our community. We're a community of essentially Central New Yorkers of about 800,000 people in and out Central New York. If we have 100,000 to 500,000 individuals coming into the Finger Lakes region, we're part of that. If you add in that density, certainly you're going to see traffic, and you're also going to have unexpected things happen, and that's why the EOC is going to be open. Saying that, happy to take questions.
You mentioned hotel rooms. Is there any other kind of concrete evidence you have that we're going to have a lot of people on bad traffic?
I don't know, Dan, if you want to opine on that more. That's the best thing we can look at. Traditionally, on a Sunday evening in the community, you're looking at room occupancy rates between 15 to 25%. We're over 75%. Again, Monday, room occupancy rates were strong as well. So I think that tells you that there is demand for the event. Whether or not you have folks we anticipate driving into the community from New York State that essentially can drive in and drive out during the day. But I don't know if there's any more anecdotal data that we have on that.
No specific data. It's also just reading reports from other communities that have experienced this in the past and trying to learn from what they dealt with at the time. So we're anticipating the things that they learned.
Why only hold?
Cities along the path in 2017. And what-
Not directly, we've read a number of reports that they've written after action reports from their experiences of the event from cities and states.
Why only hold this event now? Like, why not a week prior or weeks prior before? We all knew that this was going on, and people, like you said before, the biggest concern is traffic. Why only hold this now?
Oh, I think right, we're a week in advance, right? So I think what I've learned over the course of this job is that if we're talking about this a month ago, people are going to, in their daily living activities, forget what we said. So we're sitting here now. We know that you guys in the media will get the message out, and we'll continue to message everything on social media. But certainly, this isn't a this is a good event. This is a fun event, right? This is history. If everybody just is aware of what's going on and takes the proper precautions, there shouldn't be an emergency. But our job is to plan and prepare. Our teams have been planning and preparing for months on this. So that's the case. But from a messaging standpoint, in my experience, it's better to message within this week timeline than certainly anything else, or else your message is going to get diluted.
To that exact point, I know some communities statewide have declared states of emergency, but how do you balance calling something a state of emergency when it's actually a tourism opportunity and something fun, as you said, schools are out so kids can see it and then celebrate it? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I don't think there's any. Look, you want a state of emergency. It should be just what it sounds like, right? And you don't want to dilute that order, or else people don't take it seriously eventually. So this is a situation where there's been a lot of planning and preparing, a lot of agencies that are responsible for public safety, and certainly in the areas where we know there will be challenges, right? Traffic and transportation. You heard about the various interagency partners that will be here for that. You bring them together, and then if something happens, you will have all the teams here, all the players here that can make decisions to deal with the issue at hand. But to your point, it's a great opportunity. Kids have been learning about it. You'll have different events. Some of those events will be very fun. Total Eclipse from the Park being one of them, with the Mets at MBT Bank Stadium, right? And those types of events, even though you have a lot of people there, you're going to have people managing and organizing, right? So we're less concerned about those than more of your random pop-up events that folks aren't necessarily using the best practices.
But are you intentionally not calling it in advance an emergency to help keep it fun? I just wonder why these other communities are going that far, calling it an emergency when it should be a fun thing.
Yeah, I think some of it might be bandwidth too. I don't know. I haven't seen specifically what ones, Andrew, but some of your smaller communities certainly don't have the bandwidth that we have. With our government and all of our partners. It's knock on wood. Hopefully there's nothing that arises to an emergency on April 8th. But in the event that something happens, we'll have the team here. We'll have the EOC open. And again, we don't just open up the EOC. It's been open during the public health pandemic. It was open during the Labor Day storm, and not many more times than that.
Of course, we always hope that an emergency doesn't happen, but as you said, there are cases in which people could be looking up at the sun or anything like that, and we could be seeing an increase of people going to hospitals. What has hospital staffing been like, or what have you talked to hospitals about in regards to staffing, especially as we get closer to this event?
Yeah, so hospitals are going to be staffed like any other day. They may look at certain schedules they have and may add some staff, but the hospitals in our conversations do not view this as a situation where they anticipate a lot of additional individuals, coming due to the eclipse, right? So there might be a little bit of a staff up. Again, we're communicating with the hospitals, but if everybody, does what they should and certainly takes the guidance that's been given, this should be a fun event for folks, and a historic event, and hopefully people enjoy the experience.
Is that why a lot of schools decided to probably just cancel altogether for the day?
The challenge with schools is transportation, so having kids stuck on buses during the hours during the eclipse. If you think about an uncontrolled setting, one bus driver, 25 students on a bus during the course of that 2 to 4 window, exactly when this is happening, that's why the schools have modified their schedule or canceled them altogether.
You mentioned heavy traffic on 81. What about thruway and local roads? What do you anticipate?
Yeah, it's tough to anticipate it. We're kind of anticipating we're going to have traffic everywhere, but certainly understanding that you're going to have best viewing in the Watertown area. Certainly, one would think that 81 between Oswego to Jefferson County, if you wanted to go there, go early, and certainly if you went there, stay later to avoid some of the traffic. But we do anticipate there being increased traffic during that period of time. We don't know what it's going to look like, so our advice is, the best advice is enjoy it from the confines of your own property. But if you're going to go somewhere and do not watch on the side of the road, as that could create more traffic issues.
I know, as you mentioned, NBT Bank Stadium will be opened early, but for Mets ticket holders for that game. Is the county able to do anything to offload people parking on roads, open up a big parking lot somewhere? Anything that you can offer, perhaps free, for people to, I guess, not end up on the side of the road?
Yeah, I think overall, if you look at some natural viewing spots, potentially you have your parks, and so certainly any of our county parks have ample parking, and people can do that. Again, we would ask that if you're going to do that, you bring glasses and you follow all protocols that we've just mentioned. But overall, Andrew, I think most employers are still going to be open. We will be open, and so I think what you'll have is tourism coming into the community. These folks are coming here for a reason. I'm sure they've done diligence on where they want to view the eclipse. But certainly there's not going to be one designated area to go park and view. We have great parks that people can go and park at and view the eclipse.
Is there access to the amphitheater as a park that day?
I do not believe so.
Speaking of this just being a big way for so many people to come to Central New York, this is a great way to put Central New York on the map for a lot of people with this tourism. What has been the marketing strategy? Honestly speaking, I haven't really seen as much, but what has been your marketing strategy for this event coming up?
Well, I'm just worried about it going smoothly, right? And I think some of the private sector partners have figured out how they can take advantage of the opportunity for their business. The hotels are doing well. Certainly, I'm sure some restaurants have reevaluated maybe being closed on a Monday. They should if they haven't. They still have time, because I think it could be a very good day for restaurants of all kinds throughout the community as well. But I think it's it's not just us that's seeing the eclipse, right? All Central New York and the Finger Lakes going into Western New York are. But it is a nice opportunity to showcase different aspects of your community for the time period people are in. So hopefully the business community will, especially restaurants. A lot of restaurants are shut down on Mondays because they're busy on the weekend. Probably a good opportunity to reevaluate that decision for April 8th.
How do you see an event like this impacting the local economy?
We should see a little uptick, right? We're already seeing it with hotels, and certainly I think you're going to have visitors in the community still, and hopefully they'll get out and enjoy some of our hospitality venues, bars and restaurants, and look, we run things on sales tax, and so the more economic activity, the better.
Where are you watching from?
I haven't decided yet. If I told you that right now, it would be such a popular destination. We might have those traffic issues Andrew was talking about. So, but we have, look, there's great parks in this community. I know in my old neighborhood, I got an idea where, folks in Strathmore are probably going to be watching. I think in different areas of the community, there'll be logical choices. I haven't picked mine yet, so, but.
Got your glasses?
I do have some glasses. Now I'm going to make sure that they are certified glasses when I go back, because I already have vision issues. The last thing I need is more. So.
I believe you have News Channel 9 branded glasses, but
Yeah.
I'll say that. You say it. Have you been in touch, Dan or County Executive, with the state DOT about 81 specifically?
Yeah, do you want to take that?
Yeah, we've talked to them on multiple occasions. We've had, as the county executive mentioned, we've been working on this for months with our Department of Transportation, the State Department of Transportation, law enforcement agencies specifically, and a large part of their efforts and focus have been on traffic and 81, and what happens if there are problems on 81? Where do those problems then transition off the state network onto county network and local networks? So we're trying to anticipate that a lot, like we do for snowstorms or other events where there might be impacts to some of those larger roads.
Could you add to that a little? Do you plan to shift county resources to help manage some of I-81 within the county?
So I-81 is primarily a state responsibility as far as that, but we have offered whatever help we have. We know the state is staffing up. I can't speak to specifics of what they're doing, but they are staffing up in their DOT and with the troopers to try to prevent any major issues. But as the county executive said, having them here in this room and be able to coordinate with them directly and put ourselves in a better position to react and respond to things that aren't fully anticipated, we feel that we're as prepared as we can be for this.
So perhaps there's not an exact plan, but you're planning to be able to shift resources as it unfolds
Correct.
that day.
Correct. Yep.
So how many people will be in here then on Monday, Dan? And is it like the full force, if this is the first activation of this center? Is it kind of, working out bugs or anything like that, or are you really ready to go?
No, we're ready to go. I think a lot of what we've done is transition from downtown to what we've done before. It's just in a new location, right, in a new desk setup. But overall, we're anticipating 10 to 12 agencies to be here within the desks, and then also we'll have a number of our staff to support that. There are agencies that will bring multiple people with them. And again, some of that's for different reasons. Some of it's training some of their staff in a new location or a new part of their job. But so we're expecting probably a total of about 30 people in general.
Would you have opened it if it was still downtown? Is this just a natural event to open it for, or is it kind of a fun way to launch the new center?
I think we would have opened it absolutely, even if it were downtown. I think the things that we have learned and what we've read from the experiences of other municipalities throughout the country that experienced the full totality in 2017, we have to put ourselves in that position to be able to react and respond better.
And how does this work with 911 center? I'm sure there's seamless ways of that.
Yeah, so the 911 center and that system will function normal day to day, right? So what that'll be, so they'll still dispatch calls as needed. There'll be additional resources available to agencies, and that will be coordinated through here. But if it's an emergency dispatch, it will still go through 911. It'll still be managed through CAD, just as if it were to happen today.
Other questions?
Just one last one on the EOC. Where was the old one? Was that in the sub basement of the county building?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, in the basement. Yeah.
I know you're interested, but talk about the density or the workflow. What have you been able to apply here in building this out from lessons you've learned in the existing one?
Well, I just, we went through scenarios in 2020 with the public health pandemic, and then with the situation related to unrest in the community. And when you have your public safety teams concentrated in one area, logistically that's probably not the smartest thing to do. And so certainly when you look at the existing footprint of emergency management, your EOC, your Sheriff's Department, your SPD, all within a block, there's just things that can go wrong. And so, by de-densifying that where you can respond and have a coordinated center respond to the needs of the community at large, still centrally located here in the town of Salina, which is centrally located throughout Onondaga County, that there's just a lot of value there. And so I think that was an idea. We knew being in the basement of the Civic Center wasn't ideal to begin with, but once you had this facility that we owned, where you could improve all aspects of public safety and emergency operations, it was a no-brainer.
And just to be clear, this is only activated when there's some kind of emergency in the community?
Yeah, so our emergency management department works out of this building. The EOC where you are right now is only activated with its partners during an emergency or in anticipation of an event. And so certainly this is an event that we want everybody there. To Andrew's point, you don't want to get caught flat-footed with what's not known, one area or the other. So if you're all together and you see a resource challenge for something in one area, you have brother and sister agencies that can help pick up the slack.
So in the pandemic, you would have had your news conferences here, let's say, as opposed to that.
This is, well, there were, the On Center was a nice venue for that, and it was certainly within walking distance. But these are nice gigs here that Dan built for himself. So these are certainly, this is a great facility, and certainly will serve the community well.
I'm told you can't take the podium with you.
This is staying put. Yeah, this is. Yeah. If you see mine's old and it's rusty, and I can get splinters when I'm holding onto it. So, but this is a nice one.
And the old EOC, that going away, is that going to be kept around in some?
What are we doing with that?
Backup?
Yeah, that's the backup for in the event something were to happen here.
And you had a backup for that one, right?
We had spaces identified that would be able to go to and move to. This is a much easier process to go to a site that is set up, essentially.
Other questions? Well, thank everybody. Appreciate it. Are we going to do a ribbon cutting or no? No? Okay.
Can we see the eclipse glasses you were gifted last week? I know it's only one question.
Yeah. Take off the live stream. Take off the live stream.